Hi, it's Michael Pilarski with another Friends of the Trees Botanicals video. And today is February 22nd, 2021. And note that date. And here is exactly 100 pounds of cottonwood buds that me and my son picked in one day. So that's our new world record, as far as we know. 100 pounds in, so it's, he did 55 pounds. I'm getting old. I only did 45 pounds. And we did this in Portland, Oregon. Just hopefully there's not a, and the reason we went down there to do it is because they had an ice and snowstorm, one of the worst they've had in a while. They had a lot of power outages. A lot of limbs broke out of trees. It was actually quite a tragedy for the city, and a lot of people suffered through it. And we saw a lot of homeless tents out there, by the way, and they definitely didn't look good. With trees and branches and snow and ice falling on them. But anyway, here we were able to help make something out of that bad situation by cleaning up cottonwood buds. And because so many trees lost parts of their top, occasionally whole trees came down, but a lot of branches came down in this. And so it was easy to find, relatively easy compared to a normal cottonwood bud picking day. So that's why we have so much. And nature, when it has these ice storms, snowstorms, or high wind storms, that's the places, the times to go. Don't go out during it. Go out after it's all calmed down, and you can and collect the cottonwood buds at that point, because the biggest buds are at the tops of the biggest trees. And so I hardly ever pick from the ground. And because the best stuff is way up there, the near the ground are generally small buds. And there's also a thing happens that you get these malformed buds from a bacterial or fungal infection. I'm not quite sure which, but this is much more prevalent in the lower part of the tree, and so that's another reason to go up. And so you have to throw these out of your mix if you have those. And cottonwood buds is what we've referred to it locally here, but some places it's called poplar buds or balsam buds or balsam, balm of Gilead, all these names. But cottonwood buds is what we use here, and we have is Populus trichocarpa. And Populus trichocarpa is the largest populus in the world. There's many cottonwood species in the United States and populus species. And some of the ones back east may not have as strong a bud, but I don't know because I'm not back east. But I do know that all the ones out here all give good rosiny buds. They're all good to use. You can use any of the species out here at any rate. And this is what we're after when we're cleaning it up. And I'm in the process of just doing the final cleaning, so I still have a few, like that's the end of the limb here, and see these are flowering buds. With this is going to be next year's primary bud, but all these other things are flowering buds, and so there's a lot of buds on a piece like that, and they're pretty big. So this is from near the top of a tree, and so I have to go and keep reducing the amount of wood in here and just keep plugging away until I get it to where it's okay and acceptable in my eyes here as a good batch to send to the customers. And so there'll be a bit of wood left in it still. And it's interesting that Michael Moore in his book, Michael Moore says in his book that that a little bit of wood is okay. There's rosin on and not so much in, but in that bark. But anyway, if you were in a situation where you had just a little bit of buds and you wish you had just a little bit more, you can leave a little bit of the wood on there when you do your preparations, and so that will get you a little bit more if you want. And here's a batch that's completely cleaned down, or pretty much completely cleaned down, hardly any wood in it. And so what we're aiming for is, somewhere it's probably going to be a mix of the two grades here. And so that's that's about, this is that, and mixed up with this is what we're going to supply the customers for this 100 pounds here. So, at any rate, so you can go out and gather some cottonwood buds if you live in the West or somewhere where there's populous trees. And in general, I just walk, or I just know where there's, I look at thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of cottonwood trees every year. I'm sure actually tens of thousands of cottonwood trees every year, and assess if any parts have broken off or it's snapped off. And occasionally I'm also, as I drive around towns or even in the country, I'm looking for places where people have sawn or knocked down or logged and have logging slash or whatever. Where are the downed trees in your neighborhood? And once I had a friend take down a really big cottonwood, a bunch of the top, and he called me up and he said, "Hey, I got all these. We're cutting off this cottonwood. You want the buds?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I ran down there and got 25 pounds of buds. And he said that he had already he put through the chipper about half of it. So there was like 50 pounds of cottonwood buds on one tree. That is very exceptional. These came from a couple of, probably primarily something like 10 trees were the primary donors to get this amount, and they were pretty good trees as a general rule. So there's a little bit about cottonwood buds, and they're really good for making oils. And the tip for making oils with this is to use heat. This rosin does not want to dissolve in olive oil or oils very easily. So if I put it in a crock pot at a very low heat, it has to be low enough heat that I can hold my finger in it. And then I leave it there without a lid, and what it does is it cooks all the water off. I do this over 5 days. Sometimes if you have a crock pot that's too hot, you might have to turn it off and on regularly and have a timer there. It's just a hassle, but can be done. So you want really low heat. You can hold your finger in the oil 5 days approximately, and at the end of that time, the water should be off, and you can just pour this through a strainer, throw away the strainer afterwards perhaps. It's really hard to get this rosin off of things. And wash your crock pot right away, to get it cleaned up. So there's a trick on the cottonwood bud oils. So good luck everybody out there. Have a good herbal year.